OMG, baby, tell him.
Hey there, welcome to Powered by Backers. It is your host, Justin. I am here. It is a beautiful Thursday out in the city of Toronto, and I am joined by Kimberley Mills. Kimberley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Perfect. So you're pretty close. You said you're in Whitby. So welcome to the show. I'll do a quick little bio and then we'll jump right into it. So you sent over a quick little bio. So you are the CEO and founder of CoreBiz Strategies. You have an extensive knowledge and nearly 2 decades of experience in the seniors housing industry. You bring your expertise and exuberance to every project that you work on. You understand all facets of retirement living and consistently deliver creative marketing solutions and strategies. You're organized, analytical, and your creative approach ensures the success of any project. So you've worked in sort of the marketing and senior living space, and now you've started CoreBiz Strategies. Did I leave anything out there?
No, you've pretty much got it. I've spent almost 2 decades kind of in healthcare, and in the last 3 years decided to leave the corporate world and start my own company. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Perfect. So why don't we start at the beginning, not way back in like when you were born, but sort of the beginning of your career. What sort of give us sort of a lead up to where you are today. Give us sort of your Cole's notes of your career up until starting CoreBiz.
So I started my career, I took marketing. I kind of specialized in marketing. My first job out of school was working at a retirement home as a marketing manager. So that was kind of my entry into the seniors housing world. From there, I worked with different software companies, still all in healthcare, and kind of found myself always being in the seniors housing industry. So It just made sense for me to specialize my company in the industry.
Okay, cool. So you've worked in there. You've had obviously extensive experience in there. So we'll dive right into entrepreneurship then. I mean, obviously you've started your own business. 3 years in, I would assume you've outlasted sort of the statistics of, the first year, the first 18 months. So tell us a little bit about that experience. You said you decided to go out on your own. Tell us what maybe sparked that, and maybe we'll get into, your experiences early on.
Well, I think as an entrepreneur, I actually, I kind of identify more as a serial entrepreneur. CoreBiz is kind of my main focus, my main baby, but I have other projects that I'm working on as well. And I think when you kind of have that drive or spirit in you, it's really hard to feel completely satisfied. I just felt throughout my career, even in management positions and even in, kind of in the corporate world, I just really felt that there was something missing for me. And that was kind of the main driving force, that I just felt that I needed to do this for myself.
You had more to give, more to offer, more to, people were maybe stifling you a little bit, right? I mean, that I had a similar feeling in my career as well, that, maybe your suggestions, your ideas were not being kind of, taken or given the full opportunity.
For sure. And I also feel, as a business owner now and leading a team, the company culture for me is just so important. And I really felt that lacked in a lot of places that I worked. Poor management, not really focusing on the people, no opportunities for growth or development. So those things were really important for me as well. So as I'm building my company, building the company culture is just as important for me as building the actual business. So we put a lot of focus on the team and kind of, making sure that they have opportunities for growth. We often bring in people to do a little speaker series, little workshops. So I'm always trying to do those things that I really felt were missing in other companies that I worked for.
Right. So that's interesting. So let's actually go into that. That's an interesting direction. I'd love to explore that a little bit. So just out of curiosity, how many employees do you have in your organization?
We're a team of 7 right now.
7. So it's not insignificant. It's small, but
Yeah.
it's great. It's like a core group of people. So you're sort of at that point where you want to definitely have that culture starting to, grow. So you sort of mentioned a couple of things. What are, if you were sort of giving advice to other entrepreneurs, what are some of the things that you mentioned in the speaker series? What are some of the things that you guys have done, or maybe sort of mantras or different types of belief systems or things that you've implemented to bring about a solid corporate culture?
One thing that my team really appreciate with Corbiz is that we're very flexible.
Okay.
When I was starting to look for an office, I involved the team in that discussion, and they really wanted to remain working from home. It
Right.
worked in with their, their family time and their schedule with kids and daycare. So I think the fact that I'm very open. I often work around meetings into the schedule as far as what's best timing for my staff. So that's one thing I know that people are appreciative, is that we are flexible with the company.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you also talked just before we jumped on air that you almost did get into a lease. Similarly, we almost got into a bigger lease with a facility, and then thankfully we didn't. So, so you've been working from home for the past number of years, and so have your staff. So let's go into that. So the flexibility, the obviously having culture being a core component. How, this might be an interesting question, because I've had this question, we've talked about this with several other people. How are you able to create culture, but where everyone is potentially working remotely, and that might be a conundrum for some of these large organizations, is trying to create culture when everyone seemingly is disparate and sort of off on their own. How have you been able to bring those two together?
I think for me is hiring kind of the right people.
Right.
That's always a discussion, about our company culture when I'm meeting with people. Kind of, putting that out there from the beginning. This is kind of how we work.
Spending some time more on the front end rather than worrying about it longer run, right?
Yeah, and not everyone, and I've learned this exactly, and not everyone wants to work from home. It does take discipline, for those people that are new to working at home.
We're all finding that out right now. I mean, I worked
Exactly.
a lot from home too over the years, but my wife, has been forced to work from home, and it's definitely, I think it's even different now where kids are home and there's a lot of distractions, right? But even without kids at home, there's a lot. You want to just sit down on the couch and, the proverbial sit and watch TV and eat bonbons, right? And just kind of chill out, right? So, but you can't do that. So how do you overcome that? Or what do you say to people?
Well, it's kind of, in the beginning, because I was a virtual office to begin with, it was a pretty easy conversation to say, right now we work remotely, and I did say down the road, we are looking at getting an office, to have that. But again, the people that right now are kind of part of this team enjoy the work from home. And I do think right now with COVID, there's a huge shift in mentality of working from home. Everyone's, up in the air. I mean, we don't know what's happening with the schools yet. So that puts, different people into different situations. So the fact that right now I'm able to be flexible, I'm not having to worry about the overhead of an office right now. And even if we did have an office, we wouldn't be there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and I think for me, when I bring somebody onto the team, I really want them to feel that they're part of the team, that their voice is heard, and I think that's important as well for creating a company culture. There's always going to be growth opportunities. I really do believe in developing within. So if somebody in my team came to me and said that they're not feeling challenged enough and they're looking for the next thing, then I'm willing to have that conversation. And again, I think that's I'm taking everything that I learned from the corporate world that I didn't enjoy, and I'm trying to put it out there in my company.
Right.
One of the things I always felt was, you know, if I was in a role for about 2 years, I'm ready for that next thing. Give me that next challenge. Let
Right.
me grow with the company. And it doesn't always work that way. So I really believe in providing opportunities for that growth and providing the team with the tools. And I think that really helps with the company culture.
Yeah.
You know, it really helps with people enjoying doing their job and going to work when they feel that, you know, there's more for them. And I think that's the important thing too.
Right. Do you sort of, so let's just quickly maybe explain what Core Biz does, and then sort of, you know, because I'd like to understand maybe some of the rules within, and just kind of, you know, what sort of, when you talk about, you know, upward mobility, you know, what are you sort of looking at? Give us more of an understanding of Core Biz, and then maybe some of the roles that people are playing.
Yeah. So we specialize, as you mentioned, we specialize in seniors housing. So we focus on the marketing aspect.
Okay.
So pretty much if someone was wanting to open up a new retirement home, Core Biz would take over the marketing. So we would be setting up the information center, all the construction signage. We'd be doing the website, all the marketing collateral, radio ads, print ads, anything that's kind of marketing advertising for that brand new retirement home going in.
Okay.
So I'm working on a project right now. We've just hired the executive director. And so I'm still there supporting her. She's got marketing events coming up. So we do as well right now. The
So you
social
do
media.
some of the HR and stuff as well. You said so you're part of the hiring of the ED of the.
So my business partners who are retirement home operators, they would actually handle the hiring.
Okay.
I would be a part of the interview process for that person going in, but yeah, they would be the ones hiring. I'm more of the support system for offering all the marketing requirements. Again, we've just done a few radio ads, we've done print ads, we've done some social media campaigns. We just finished a promotional video, so I had a film crew come out. We did a video of the retirement home. So pretty much getting the retirement home opened up, getting the website, all the marketing collateral up and running. So that's what we would do with retirement homes.
And
we also
these are
offer other
retirement.
services.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was
No.
just gonna say retirement homes. The difference, so that people understand, a long-term care is government funded. Retirement home is a pay for service type of, like a private facility, right? That's the difference. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're trying to advertise to a paying senior public, right, that would potentially want to stay or utilize their services or their facilities.
Yeah, exactly.
That's who they're advertising to. Just so that everyone watching understand, because I've had those questions in the past. There's some uncertainty. I worked in the industry a little bit, but you've got sort of your, certain brands that are retirement, and then you've got the long-term care. One's publicly funded, the other one's, privately run, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we don't work with long-term care. That's again a very, very different business.
There's no marketing there. It's
we strictly work with exactly.
Right. Yeah, the retirement side. So okay, so you basically are building up and launching essentially a brand new retirement residence in this example, or you're working with somebody through an ongoing process to sort of build awareness and keep them, having their occupancy at, I would assume, full or at capacity, right?
Yeah.
So how many facilities do you work with currently? The one, do you have like an ongoing relationship with a number of other facilities, or?
We do, yeah. So pretty much with the retirement home operators, any kind of project that they're taking over management, I'm kind of going in as the marketer and looking at the marketing, whether it's a rebranding.
Okay.
There's some projects coming up where there might be some rebranding. They are looking to kind of spruce things up a bit. Their occupancy has been low, so they're looking at ways to bring that up.
Right.
But for the most part, my role is more the brand new retirement homes going in.
Okay. So let's dive into marketing,
Yeah.
because I think marketing is somewhat universal. I mean, there's certain target demographics, but there's a lot of strategies that are somewhat universal. And you've mentioned a few. What are some of the things, if you had to say your top 3 go-to marketing strategies for launching a new retirement residence would be, fill in the blank. What would you like? What, maybe not top 3, but what are some of the things that you do? When you go into a new facility, what are you looking at? What are you, where do you start, and how do you get the word out? And what's sort of your strategy? You don't have to give your competitors your secret sauce, but what do you sort of do? Like, you walk in, and do sort of an analysis. What are you looking for, and what are you trying to, what strategies are you trying to implement?
So I'm definitely trying to understand the target market and their kind of behaviors. So typically in seniors housing, our prospect is the senior themselves, but a lot of times we're actually marketing to the families. So it's the children.
To the daughter. The daughter often is what we found. We worked in a home healthcare equipment business.
Yeah.
And it was
the
daughter
exactly.
was sort of 80% of the time.
So I always like to think of marketing as a recipe, and it's different for every organization, and even within retirement homes, depending on if it's in a large city or a small community, my marketing strategy is going to be a little bit different. I might put a little bit more on community papers versus social media. So my advice to anybody when they're kind of creating their marketing plan, what works for me may not work for you. And really just understanding who you're trying to speak to and how you can communicate to them. So with social media, there's not a lot of seniors on social media, but there are a lot of children on social media that are, we're doing the promo video for, we're doing a social media campaign because we want to get the message out to them as well. And I should say, I mean, there are seniors on social media, but again, more limited. Facebook would be probably the biggest one that I would use for this.
You mean they're not on TikTok? There's no 75-year-olds on TikTok yet?
Well, the
maybe there are some, probably. Yeah.
I was gonna say I have seen some seniors on TikTok, but
no, but I agree with you. And like you said this, and it's interesting, when we were in sort of that space a little bit, everyone thought that the audience was the senior, or the the person, the target for the product, or in your case, the service there. But it's actually, the children. They are the 45 to 65, or 35 to 65-year-olds. So they are on social media. And so do you find, you said Facebook, what other mediums do you use? You mentioned sort of local newspapers. Do you still think do you see some success in that, or is that waning a little bit, or what are your thoughts on that side of things?
Actually, paper ads for this industry, again, depending on the location. One of our clients is small little town, local papers seem to work. We just did a paper drop last week, and we had 5 people inquire from that. So it does prove to still work. Same with radio ads. Again, depending on the station and depending on the demographics, but we do use a combination of radio, print, social media. A big thing that we do in the industry as well is host marketing events. So our way of getting people to come in to see the home is by hosting an event that's open up to the public.
At the home. So sort of like a walkthrough, or a what's the term in real estate? Open house.
Open house.
Slipped me for a second. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's obviously a great way. An open house would be a great way to kind of get people to come in, see the facility, maybe see obviously what it's like, see other people like themselves, or, that are enjoying it. So, and they can see the amenities and different things. Okay. Interesting. So definitely sort of a multi-pronged approach depending on the location, obviously small town, bigger city, and maybe the demographic that you're targeting, small town or bigger city, and then obviously who you're targeting. So I don't know if this is it, maybe it's not, it's sort of irrelevant, but I would wonder, like, what kind of budget would a long-term care, retirement residents have to spend, say, on a monthly basis on marketing? Typically, like, are we talking hundreds, thousands? Like, what sort of budget for what size of place are you looking at? Just wondering, like, averages. Certain businesses have a certain percentage of revenue, or depending on if they have a lot of turnover in customers. But what would be kind of the average you'd look at for a retirement residence, or statistics around retirement residences?
So if it's a brand new retirement home, which is kind of my focus, then your budget is going to be larger because it's an opening budget.
Right.
Typically, we say between $1,300 and $1,500 per unit. A home should be budgeting for pre-opening. So you're looking at some homes could have a marketing budget of $150,000, $200,000, depending on the size of the home.
They've got 100,
but yeah,
150,
you're
200 homes, 100 to 200 rooms kind of thing?
Yeah. So, and typically, I mean, the retirement homes I'm dealing with are 80 units or more.
Okay.
We actually call them suites. 80 suites
okay.
or more.
80 suites or more, right?
80
yes.
suites or more. So yeah, and keep in mind your marketing budget is there to really push the advertising. So we are going to be spending more initially, because even in pre-construction, we want to get deposits. We want people to start committing to, yes, they're going to take a suite even. So we're already starting that sales process before the doors even open.
It's almost like a pre-sale of a condo.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Sort of the same concept, right?
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. So the reason I asked was because one of the conversations that often comes up is sort of like lifetime value and then customer acquisition costs, and sort of understanding how those tie into one another. So I'm assuming you said you're sort of telling them or expecting them to pay, put a $1,500, let's call it $1,300 to $1,500 per room to get that room filled. They're then obviously expecting to make significantly more, obviously, over the lifetime of that tenant, if you will, or that resident. So where do you see those numbers? Like what makes you say 13 to 1,500? What is, maybe if you can get into kind of a statistical lifetime value of an occupant or a resident?
Yeah, so typically when I'm putting a proposal together, I'm actually breaking everything down by project. So I am kind of showing them the value of what they're doing over a 1-year period of time, or 6 months, depending on the contract size. And basically, when you combine what you should be spending on advertising, whether that's print or radio, the combination of the frequency plus getting the website up, it pretty much works out to be that number anyways for those homes. And again, keep in mind that budget's also including things like the information center and the promotional items. So I can pretty much gauge, depending on the size of the home, what they should be spending. And a lot of times my clients are asking me to kind of put together that marketing budget for them, to show them where those funds are going to be allocated.
Right. Okay. So I guess one of the things so when you're putting together those numbers, or when you have put together those numbers, obviously it has to make sense for the business. So do you have sort of statistics on kind of the expected 1-year return on, say, the occupancy of a room? Does it range widely? Or I know we're kind of getting to maybe too deep into it's really interesting for me, and I think for a lot of people, is understanding different businesses, and sort of being able to gauge how much they spend on acquiring a customer, if you will, and what that customer is worth in the long run. Because if you told somebody, a lot of people, I'm sure, that they had to spend $1,500 to get a new customer, a lot of people would probably, excuse you to the door and say, thank you, no thank you, right? Because maybe they're not selling something of value where, obviously I'm sort of familiar with numbers, a retirement resident, you're probably looking at, depending on where they are, 3 to 10,000 a month, right? For a suite, right? Maybe more in some of the city retirement residences. So, if you're saying it's 5 to 8,000 a month, 6 months, that's, what's my math, 30 to 40, somewhere around there, 30 to 40,000, 48,000. Is those the numbers that they're working with? So $1,300 on 48,000 is a lot different than 1,300 on 2 or 3,000, or even a couple thousand, right? We had a guy on here talking about mattresses specifically, right? And a lot of the mattress companies spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to acquire customers, but their mattress is only $1,000. So the return, they're actually losing money just trying to get market share.
Yeah. And I think with the retirement industry or seniors housing, it is a little bit different in the sense of, when you have one client move in, chances are they're going to be there
indefinitely
for an extended period of time. So
right.
the value is, I believe, is higher because once you get one client in or one resident in, they're moving in there. They're not planning on leaving anytime soon.
Right. It's their last stop, not to sound too sort of negative, but it is, that's where, and so they'll be there for, it's interesting. So what is the average age in the demographic of people in a retirement residence typically?
I would say, I would have to really look into stats, but I would say 87 is probably an average age.
Okay.
People are going in a little bit older. There's so many more options, for people to stay home longer. And there's different reasons why people move into retirement living. One is, mainly sometimes because the families are saying, Mom, I'm not comfortable with you being home alone anymore. We need to look at alternatives. Yeah. So a lot of times that push is coming from the families. Sometimes it's social that, they're not, residents aren't able to get out as often, to go grocery shopping or to go see their friends, or not driving. So they're missing that social aspect, where retirement living can offer that. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. So I want to change sort of direction. I think I went down into the weeds maybe a little too much there.
That's okay.
I apologize. But so let's go a little more fun. So what are some of the most memorable campaigns that you've put on? Have you done any sort of like interesting little videos, or that sort of, you think, wow, that was really fun. We had this happen. Give us some maybe little quips of interesting campaigns you've had over the years. Over the past 3 years.
I always find I really enjoy the planning part and the strategy because it's always so different. And especially planning marketing events are always fun because you really can just plan any sort of event that kind of comes to mind and have a theme. I've run all different types of marketing events, hosted, art galleries before where I had artists come in and, display their art. We're talking about an open house by having a musician come in. Usually we'll have some sort of entertainment. Right. So I guess they're all very unique. For me, I really enjoy, like I said to you, I've done stuff outside of core biz as well that has been allowed me to let my creative juices flow as well. So
talk to us
I just enjoy the event planning. I love, what's that?
No, I was going to say, talk to us a little bit about, you did mention it and I didn't really get into it, but tell us about you said serial entrepreneur. Tell us about some of the other ventures are you currently working on some right now, or what else are you working on other than core biz?
So I'm working on starting a home for adults with developmental disabilities, and that's actually that's kind of come. I have a friend that I've grown up with. She's mentally and physically handicapped. Again, knowing the industry, the seniors housing industry, very similar as far as, you know, putting together kind of your care planning and structure. Falls under a different kind of licensing, but very similar as far as operations. So I'm working on that. I've been trying to raise some awareness and funds. So I'm actually just in the process of planning some sort of, I'm trying to actually secure a musician to do an online concert so that I can promote Sarah's Place that way. So hosting a online concert where the proceeds would go to support that project. So that's one thing that I'm working on.
Well, sorry, you cut out for a second, but what was the name of it? Sarah's Place, did you say?
Sarah's Place, yeah.
Sarah's Place, like S-A-R-A-S? Sorry, S-A-R-A-H apostrophe S?
Yeah.
Place? Sarah's Place? Okay, cool. And is that out in sort of the East End, or where are you looking to put that? So do you have maybe earmarked a location, or is that kind of after you get the funding and start moving towards it, or where, like what stage are you in that process?
So great question. I've found some property. It's really hard to find property that's zoned for this type of usage.
Okay.
The town of Whitby basically said to me, if you want to run this, go look at this property.
Okay.
So I'm trying to actually raise some money right now to help with the purchase of that home. So yes, we
That's very interesting. That's
But in the process of raising capital. Yeah.
Okay. And
yeah.
I mean,
and then
we should talk about maybe getting a campaign up on backers and maybe getting some investors behind the opportunity, right? So it doesn't have to be all sort of charity. It can be combination. It would be a for-profit business, right? Or would it be a not-for-profit?
Oh, sorry, that one would be a not-for-profit.
Not-for-profit. So there might be some difficulty there, but we can definitely look, and I'm sure we could figure something out. But interesting, cool. Well, that's I mean, good luck with that. How many? I guess just quickly, how many rooms would you have? Would it be sort of a 80 room type thing, or a smaller type of
small?
facility?
It's boutique. It's only eight
rooms?
units.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Sarah's Place. Well, for all of those that are watching, check it out. Sarah's Place. If you are in the East End, Whitby, Oshawa, Durham area, definitely, look to maybe support. Do you have any timing when you'll have the event at all, or that's still sort of up in the air at this point?
So the next step is we're doing I'm hoping to secure kind of the date, because we're going to do a newspaper article in the next couple of weeks. So I want to advertise that in the paper. So I'm hoping end of September to actually host the event.
Okay, cool. Well, definitely send me a link, and I'll share it with everyone here. So cool. So I'll end it with this. I really appreciate your time, Kimberly. Obviously, taking the time out of your day. Hopefully, we've had some fun exploring what you guys do. One question that I ask everyone is, if you could talk to the younger you, you starting out, so maybe early on in your career, or even just at the beginning of your sort of current venture, what would be sort of one word, or even anyone starting out, what would be one word or one piece of advice that you would give to a younger Kimberley?
Well, I think just don't give up. As you know, I mean, we were talking about being kind of a newer business, and I kind of got through that, 18 months.
Yeah.
This has been my first business. I've had businesses that have not succeeded.
Right.
And I think just not losing any motivation from that's just part of growing. Everything that I've done in the past, whether it's business, whether it's career, I've grown from, I've learned from, and I am able to use that for my business and for myself today. So I think that the main thing I would say is just don't give up. Keep trying. If it didn't work the first time, doesn't mean it's not going to work the second time. And it's true. It sometimes takes multiple times to go after something before it works.
Try again, right?
Never give up.
Never give up. Yeah, exactly. It's perseverance, persistence. It's the tortoise versus the hare, right? It's a long race. So be the tortoise and make it to the end. So cool. Well, Kimberley, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Perfect. So everyone else, thank you for joining us. I will see you guys again tomorrow. We have another great guest, so I will see you guys again tomorrow. Kimberly, enjoy your day, and everyone else.
OMG, baby, tell them.